The sound of your heels clicking across the marble floor echoed through the quiet office. Everyone at the Seraphine Corp knew what that meant. The boss had arrived. You were known as the youngest female CEO in the real estate world. Sharp, smart, no nonsense. People respected you. Some feared you. You ran your meetings like a general. Never hesitated to fire underperformers and rarely ever smiled unless you closed a deal worth millions. But even the toughest person has a weak spot. Yours, John Jungkook. Your secretary, well, technically your personal assistant, but let's be honest, he did way more than that. For 5 years, Jungkook had been by your side, calm and cold, always dressed in perfect suits, with that serious face of his. He never flirted, never overstepped, never even showed too much emotion. Yet somehow he knew everything about you, your schedule, your mood, how you liked your coffee when you needed a break but would never admit it. And over time, you started to notice little things, the way he would step slightly in front of you when a meeting got too intense, the way he would hand you a warm cup of tea before big presentations, the way his eyes softened for a split second whenever you smiled at something. You never planned to fall for him, but your heart didn't ask for permission. You stepped out of the elevator on the 30th floor. The air was crisp, the office buzzing as your employees noticed your arrival. Good morning, Miss Lee. Your junior manager greeted nervously. You nodded. Morning. The presentation file better be on my desk. As you walked past, people straightened up, tapping faster on their keyboards, and there he was. Jungkook stood near your office door, tablet in hand, looking down at his notes. You are late, he said flatly, but with a tiny smirk playing on his lips. You rolled your eyes. I'm 2 minutes late. 4 actually, he corrected. You have back to back meetings starting in 15, then a call with our Paris partners at noon. I moved lunch at 2 p.m. You gave him a quick glance. When do I get to breathe? When I pencil it in, he said, tapping on his tablet. You shook your head walking into your office, but just before the door closed, you turned and asked, did you eat? Jungkook blinked. Excuse me, breakfast. Did you eat? He hesitated. Coffee counts. You gave him a look. Fine, no, not yet. You sighed and tossed a protein bar from your drawer onto his desk. Eat, I need you functioning. He smirked and picked it up. Noted, boss. Around 10:15, the sleek conference room sat high above the skyline, floor to ceiling glass offering a view of the city below. Sunlight filtered in, throwing sharp lines across the long black table, where a handful of men in tailored suits sat uncomfortably, shifting under the silence. You walked in, poised, sharp, every step calculated. Your heels echoed like a warning shot. Jungkook followed behind you, tablet in hand, face unreadable as always, but eyes scanning the room. Gentlemen, you greeted, voice calm and clear. Let's begin. Across the table sat Mr. Laurent, a silver haired executive from a Paris based development firm, a partner you had been negotiating with for months on a massive mixed use project. On the surface, he was all charm and polite smiles. But you knew better, and today you had receipts. As the meeting started, Laurent gave his usual pitch, revised numbers, construction timelines, a few sly promises that looked good on paper but were full of loopholes. I assure you, he said, leaning back casually, we have included everything we discussed. I trust you won't find any issues, madam. You gave him a long, unreadable stare. The room went still. Jungkook glanced at you from the side. He knew that look, the calm before the storm. No issues. You repeated, flipping open a sleek black folder. Then perhaps you can explain why your side quietly shifted zoning allocations in the 22nd arrondissement despite our clear agreement to preserve fixed income housing. Lawrence stiffened, then forced a struggle. Ah, that's just a minor adjustment. A minor adjustment that moves low income families 40 minutes outside the city? You cut in, your voice sharper now, which violates both our original agreement and your city's own compliance codes. His smile faltered. You didn't blink. And let me guess, you assumed I would be too busy, or too inexperienced, or perhaps just too polite to catch that. You leaned forward slightly, your stare pinning him to his seat. Let me be very clear, Mr. Lauren. I built Seraphine Corp from the ground up in an industry that tried to eat me alive. I read every line of every contract. I notice everything, and I don't tolerate partners who insult my intelligence. The silence was deafening. Even your own executives seated on your side of the table suddenly found the walls and floor very interesting. No one dared interrupt. Laurent cleared his throat, visibly sweating now. It was not my intention to insult you, yet here we are. You replied icily and closed the folder. We'll revisit the terms after your legal team removes the clause. Until then, this deal is frozen. Lawrence's mask slipped, his jaw tightened, his fingers coiled around his pen like he was holding back something uglier than words. He leaned in, eyes gleaming with a venomous smile. Oh, come on now, let's not throw the entire deal off track over a minor detail. Or is this what they meant when they said Seraphine Corp was becoming emotionally driven? You didn't move, so he pushed harder. I suppose that's the risk when a woman leads a $1 billion empire. Too much heart, not enough bite. The room froze, the air felt heavy with expectation. Your executives held their breath, afraid to even blink. Jungkook's gaze lifted slowly from his tablet. You didn't need defending, and yet his body moved before his mind even finished the thought. He stepped forward, subtle, not intrusive but present, the way a storm is present before the thunder rolls. He spoke coolly, eyes never leaving Lawrence. Mr. Lauren, if you had reviewed the revised terms with even half the attention you give your ego, you would know the clause violates both contract ethics and international zoning law. Laurent opened his mouth to speak, but Jungkook didn't let him. Miss Lee caught what your entire legal team conveniently overlooked. So, no, this isn't emotion, it's competence. And if you're struggling to recognize that, perhaps it's not the deal you should be questioning, but your own preparedness. The silence was suffocating. Lawrence stared at Jungkook, stunned, as if he couldn't believe a secretary just put him in his place without raising his voice, without blinking, without breaking decorum. Jungkook stepped back just as quietly as he had stepped forward, tablet in hand like nothing had happened. He wasn't seeking approval, he wasn't looking to protect you in the way men often try to protect powerful women. He was simply reinforcing the ground beneath you. You turn your gaze back to Laurent, voice cutting through the tension like a scalpel. You can take this as an opportunity to reevaluate your tone, Mr. Lauren. My gender doesn't make me emotional, but your ego, that makes you reckless. And I don't do business with men who underestimate me. I replace them. Lauren's face darkened, but he didn't speak again. He knew the room didn't belong to him anymore. You rose from your seat, heels clicking sharply against the floor as you turned without waiting for permission to end the meeting. Let's go. You said to Jungkook, and he followed. As the conference room door closed behind you both, he didn't say a word, but out of the corner of your eye, you caught it, that rare flicker of pride on his face. Not because you were fierce, but because you didn't need anyone to tell you that you are. And yet still he was there, quietly, unshakably yours. The door shut behind you with a loud thud. You yanked off your blazer, tossing it over the back of your chair, the tension in your shoulders refusing to ease. Your heels clicked across the floor as you paced. That nasty little man, arrogant, manipulative, who the hell does he think he is? Jungkook walked in a few seconds later, quiet as ever, tablet tucked under his arm. You shot him a glance. I swear if he called me emotional one more time, I would have kicked him through the window. Jungkook offered, barely hiding a smirk. You scoffed, crossing your arms. Glad to know you are enjoying this. He tilted his head. I'm not. I just know how much restraint that took. You looked away, clenching your jaw. I hate men like him. Always thinks they are the smartest ones in the room just because they have had a seat longer. Jungkook stepped a little closer. Well, he walked out knowing exactly who held the room now. You blinked at him for a second, silence stretched between you. Heavy, familiar, charged. Then, as if remembering something, he tapped his tablet and looked up at you. Actually, I came in here to give you some good news. You arched a brow. Please tell me Lauren's passport suddenly caught fire. Better, Jungkook said, now holding out his phone. You have been shortlisted for Laurel Dior, the Golden Laurel Paris Business Awards category Global Innovator of the Year. Are you serious? He nodded. Official invite just came in. One of the biggest honors in the business world. You reached for the phone, reading the elegant French typography, your name shining in gold. Your lips parted slightly. Wow, you whispered. Tears filled in your eyes. That's actually huge, I know. Jungkook said, lips twitching at your rare moment of soft surprise. And I already booked the hotel, handled your RSVP, and scheduled your wardrobe fitting with the Paris stylist. You turned slowly toward him. Wait, you already did all that? He just shrugged. I figured you would want it done right. You narrowed your eyes, amused. And what about you? Are you coming? He met your gaze. Of course, he said, voice low and sure, wouldn't miss it. And something about the way he said it, not just as your assistant, but as him, made your heart flutter in a way that had nothing to do with awards or power or Paris. Just him, always calm, always watching, and always there. The room sparkled with chandeliers, gold decorations, and powerful men in tuxedos from all over the world. The most successful people in business were there, leaders, billionaires, and families who had been rich for generations. And among them stood you, confident in your black dress, looking every bit like the woman who built her success through hard work and intelligence. The host called out the final award of the night, and the Global Innovator of the Year, the youngest nominee we have ever had. Your name echoed across the hall. A heartbeat of silence and then thunderous applause. You froze for half a second until Jungkook touched your elbow lightly, eyes glowing. Go, that's yours. Your stilettos clicked against the marbles as you walked up, head high, face poised, but inside, you were still that young girl with a dream too big for the world to believe in. You took the golden laurel trophy in your hands as the camera's flashes lit up your face. Then came the flood, CEOs shaking your hand, industry giants nodding in admiration. Incredible work, Miss Lee. Your strategies with Seraphine Corp revolutionary. If my daughter had half your fire, I would sleep better at night. You smiled graciously, answered questions, posed for photographs, but your eyes kept drifting across the ballroom until they found him, standing silently near the back in a black tailored suit that fit him like a glove. Jungkook's hands were folded in front of him, his expression unreadable to most. But you saw it, the quiet pride in his gaze, the kind that didn't need words. You pushed through the crowd, trophy still in hand, and without thinking, without caring, you hugged him in front of everyone. He stiffened at first, then slowly let his arm wrap around you, his breath warm near your ear. You did it, he murmured. I couldn't have done it without you, you whispered. You pulled back before the moment lingered too long, but the warmth of it stayed with you longer after the applause faded. Jungkook looked down at you, his brows knitting ever so slightly. Hey, he said gently, catching the shimmer in your eyes. Are you crying? You quickly looked away, blinking fast, your voice quiet but a little shaky. No, I'm just happy, really happy. For a second, neither of you said anything. The ballroom burst behind you, clicks of champagne glasses, the hum of conversations, the distant clicks of photographs still there, but in your small corner of it all, everything stood still. Jungkook's voice dropped even softer, like he didn't want to break the moment. You deserve to be. You nodded slowly, still keeping your gaze low. Then his hand lifted carefully, hesitantly, brushing a loose strand of hair behind your ear. No one worked harder for this than you. Don't hide how much it means. You looked up, eyes glassy but with a smile tugging at your lips. I'm glad it's you standing next to me right now. His gaze softened, something unreadable flickering in it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Somewhere behind you, a photographer caught this moment, a soft click of the shutter. The world would see the image the next morning, the youngest CEO in the industry holding one of the most prestigious awards in global business, while her elusive, impeccably dressed secretary stood quietly beside her, gaze unreadable. But in that moment, you didn't care about the headlines. You were too full of joy, of disbelief, of something far deeper and heavier than that you didn't dare name, not yet. The award, the applause, the compliments from global giants, they were done. You had smiled, shaken hands, exchanged pleasantries with men who once doubted you and now lined up to praise you. They called you a powerhouse, a symbol of change, a force, but the force inside you didn't feel fierce anymore. It felt soft, quiet, and it pulled you toward one man. You turned your head slightly, catching Jungkook looking out of the ballroom's tall windows, Paris glittering behind the glass. You stepped beside him. Let's not waste the night. You said suddenly, quietly, we are in Paris. He looked at you, one brow raised. You tilted your head. What do you say? Want to walk around for a bit? There was no hesitation, always, he said. And just like that, with the city spread before you and the heels of celebration behind you, the two of you stepped out into the crisp night, where something far greater than success waited quietly in the shadows. Love, unspoken, waiting, but not for much longer. The street of Paris was soft under the dim glow of antique lamps, people laughing at cafes, the Eiffel Tower glowing in the distance. You both wandered in comfortable silence, the air cold but freeing. Eventually, your feet brought you to the Pont des Arts, the Lovelock Bridge. You stopped. Rows and rows of padlocks shimmered in the moonlight, each one a silent promise. Jungkook glanced at them quietly, then looked over at the Seine. They say the city makes people fall in love. He said. You turned toward him. I think I already was. You murmured. He looked at you startled. You took a breath, unsure where it came from. Maybe the wind, maybe the night, maybe 5 years of biting your tongue. But the words spilled anyway. I think I've been falling for you every day, Jungkook. Quietly, slowly, hopelessly. His lips parted slightly, but he didn't speak. You rushed to fill the silence. I know you are my assistant. I know it's complicated, but tonight it's just us, and I needed you to know. You bit your lip, staring at the water. Sorry if that makes things awkward. There was a pause, then he stepped closer, so close that you could feel the warmth of his breath. I'm already in a relationship. The words hit harder than you could have imagined. Your heart dropped so fast you saw it echoed in your chest. Oh, you breathed, blinking fast, your throat tightened instantly. I didn't know. I wouldn't have said anything if. Forget I said something. You stepped back slightly, heart pounding now, not from the confession but from the humiliation that followed. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I didn't mean to make things awkward. I just thought maybe you felt the same. I must have read it wrong. God, I You turn your face away, blinking again, trying to swallow the sudden sting of tears. You weren't supposed to feel this fragile, not tonight, not after the biggest win of your career. And yet, here you were, the same woman who just outmaneuvered billionaires and CEOs, feeling like a girl who had just confessed to the wrong boy. But before you could say another word, you felt him step closer. Look at me. He said softly, you didn't, not right away. Please, he added. So you turned just enough to meet his eyes, and that's when he said it, the smallest smile curving his lips, slow and gentle. With you, he said. I've been in a relationship with you. You just never knew it. I've committed myself to you even when you didn't know. You froze. What? He laughed under his breath, shaking his head. I have been in love with you since the day you made me fetch your coffee and corrected my grammar in front of the entire executive board. Your jaw dropped slightly. That was your first day. Yes, the very first time I saw you. I've been in a relationship with you in my mind for 5 years. I just never had the courage to confess it because he trailed off. You already knew it was because of status. Your heart slammed against your chest. So you. Yes, he gently held your hand. I just wanted to see how you would react. I didn't expect you to actually confess tonight. A nervous laugh escaped your lips. You are evil, maybe. He leaned closer, his forehead brushing yours. But I'm yours. And under the sparkling Paris sky, surrounded by thousands of padlocks symbolizing eternal love, Jungkook kissed you. Not as your secretary, not as someone beneath your rank, but as the man who had always belonged to you. You both sealed a small golden lock on the bridge, inscribed with the words Two Hearts, One Story, Paris. Somewhere far below, the river kept flowing, carrying away the last of the doubt, the fear, and the time lost to silence. Tonight, under the Paris sky, the truth had finally found its voice. And it sounded a lot like love.